Morning. Well, my name is actually Erskin Anavitarte. Thank you guys for having me this morning. Pastor Charlie, I thought I'd get more of an introduction than that, but that's okay. I'm already here. I'm here, you're there, so just go ahead and stay there and I'll take it from here. Pastors only work one day a week anyway. A few hours anyway, and so you're just going to give that to me. All right, I can't even get a proper introduction. Appreciate that. Well, apparently I made the cut. They said that they would try me out the first service, and if there was anything left, then I could come and play second service. And I have survived the second service, and I'm excited to be here, delighted. In fact, singer-songwriter from Nashville, but I'll give you guys a little bit of a backstory since I didn't give a proper introduction. We moved to Nashville about 3.5 years ago to pursue what has become a career in music. So quick backstory before that. I'm actually 39 years old. I just turned 39, and of those 4 days I've been home in the last 30 or so days, those were actually, my birthday was on one of those days, and so we got a chance to hang out as a family. So when I'm telling you about all this different stuff that I've done, and you're doing the math in your mind, if you've got me pegged at like 27 or so, the math is not going to add up. So I just want to go ahead and say that now. But moved to Nashville about 3.5 years ago and started doing music. If you would have told me 5 years ago that I would be doing this for a living and that I would be traveling around the world and playing music, I would have laughed in your face. Would have gone something like this. But the Lord had other plans. He had another direction for me, and I just decided, I'm going to do what God wants me to do instead of doing what it is that I want to do, and let the Lord receive the glory for that. And so it's been an interesting and fun and unique journey, one in which, in the process of that time, I literally came here on a Sunday night not knowing a soul here, but just knowing that I was referred to go here by some other good people who were in New Smyrna, and they recommended that I come and meet the pastor here and meet the people here, yeah. And so I came on a Sunday night, met the pastor, and he's like, what are you doing? Who are you? And kind of asked some of those questions. And most of the time, that doesn't even get a chance to happen. Most of the time when people find out that you do music for a living and that you might potentially want to come to their church, yeah, you're pretty much ushered out the door pretty quickly at that point. But not Pastor Charlie. If he's only going to work one day a week and that was Sunday, he's going to make it worth your while. And so he actually took me out to dinner that night and got a chance to hear a little bit of my backstory. I spent about 11 years in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I'm from the nation of Texas. And if you're nice to me, when this other thing crumbles, I'll actually put in a good word for you in the new nation. And so I believe Pastor Bill, that does the first service, he's also from Texas. And so you can see there's a trend that kind of develops. I don't know why we're all like this, but apparently we are all like this. Wow. So it took an act of God to get me out of Texas, is what I'm trying to say. So did 11 years of pastoral ministry down there in Texas, and truly loved that. Graduate of Southwestern Seminary. Had every intention of going on. Oh, there's some Southwestern people here? Your dad? Is he here? No. Okay. It's cool. Southwestern. There's a couple other people from Southwestern. But anyway, it's a good school. I went there for 10 long years. I was on a little slower education plan there. And working in a local church, and I thought I would just go ahead and finish that, go on my PhD, go overseas, teach. I had this whole life planned out, and then the Lord tapped me on the shoulder and he said, actually, I've got something else for you to do. And it wasn't except for the kindness and grace of my pastor that I was serving with, senior pastor, who said, are you doing what God has called you to do? I said, of course I'm doing what God has called me to do. I'm taking these students across the world, and we're doing all these fun, exciting things, and it's great, and I love this. And he's like, I'll get back to you on that. And he went and prayed, and he came back to me and he said, yeah, I prayed about this, and I know that I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to take you off staff so that you can go and do what God has called you to do. And I said, well, the Lord didn't tell me that. So I think I just got fired. But my church was extremely gracious to us and just helped us get established in Nashville, and there's still families there that care and pray and support us. And it's been a tremendous blessing for us to kind of see the faithfulness of just a few folks that have gotten together and said, you know what, we're going to pursue the Lord, and wherever that leads is wherever it leads. And so literally go around the world and play different places. And I know that I'm going to be politically so correct to just say this. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, thinking about voting, not thinking about voting. America, by the grace of God, is the greatest country in the world. Amen. And so I was thinking to myself when I was in India, we should just bottle up every undecided, every malcontent, every person, and just bring them, just walk the streets of India sometime. Walk the streets of Germany. Walk the streets of Canada. Walk the streets of Africa. Walk the streets of Zanzibar. And you'll say that America is the greatest country in the world by the grace of God. And so let's keep the first thing first so that we can continue to have a great nation. Okay, I endorse that political ad, so I'll play some songs now so that you don't think this is just a speech. So the first song, since I was not able to bring my band with me, this is all about the age of innovation and technology. I brought my band on a thumb drive. This first song is called, don't play it yet. This first song is called Do What You Gotta Do. All right, so you guys gotta help me out on this. There's a little part that goes like this. Do what you gotta do. All right, so let's practice that before we get into this. I mess it up or you mess it up. You gotta get this right. Do what you gotta do. See, it's a sharp cookies. All right, let's play this song. Tell everyone, everywhere, hard to go back from where you came. It's a big deal, this is so real. Can't stop it now, it's such a great thrill. Your heart's pumping, don't stop it. Like a tidal wave, it keeps coming. Running and running for something, yeah, yeah. Gonna make it. Tell everyone, everywhere, go hard, go back from where you came. It's a big deal, this is so real. Can't stop it now, it's such a great thrill. Your heart's pumping, don't stop it. Like a tidal wave that keeps coming. Running and running for something, yeah, yeah. Gonna make it somewhere. a small musical offering for you guys. I don't really like doing what we call concerts on Sunday morning because it's the Lord's Day. And so, brother, he's going to preach here. So if you're worried about what the order of things is, since we changed the order of the Baptist Church, it's kind of tricky there. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, you're skating. Change the order of service on the people, and you invite the black guy. So you're going to get some letters tomorrow. Just be prepared. All right, just lean into it a little bit. So the next song that I want to do is called "Moving On." The song is called "What You Got Stand Up." I know it's not a concert or anything, but you guys just need some room. Exercise. All right, so this will be your right hand, my right hand, your left hand, my left hand, your right hand. All right, so you can put a hand in the air because that would be way too out of order here for us to just start turning around, doing whirling dervishes here. But so the song is merry-go-round. It goes round and round and round, round and round. So when I sing that, then you can do that, and then we'll all just enjoy the song together. So the song is called "Merry-Go-Round."
Like a merry-go-round. One day up, the next one back down. Some days I don't have a clue. Oh, what my life will be like without you. And even when I don't understand, I will trust your unfailing hand. After all that is said and done, you're the one. The Lord knows, round and round is how it goes. I praise the Lord, no matter what comes, yeah. I don't worry for tomorrow, 'cause every day has its own set of sorrows. Day to day I'm growing up, I'm getting closer. See me and you make me much bolder. Even when I don't understand, I will trust your unfailing hand. After all that is said and done, you're the one. Yeah, yeah. Round and round is how it goes. And where it stops, the Lord knows. Round and round is how it goes. I praise the Lord, no matter what comes, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. My head starts spinning, my life is going round. I celebrate the everyday about. My head starts spinning, my life is going round. I celebrate the everyday about. Yeah, yeah. You guys can be seated. I'm only going to talk a little bit longer. But man, that's great. I've got this little wireless pack thing going here. So I can actually turn round and round on that song. I mean, I know it's not a new invention, but I just love this invention. Because I tried to do that with a cord connected. That show didn't go so well. So I don't do that anymore. But yeah, so
Man, I wish I could share more stuff with you guys, but maybe I'll start with this. This tour started, I don't even know. What month are we in? October, yeah, October. October the 5th or so, and I was at Atlanta for a stretch, and then down to Valdosta, Georgia, working my way down to Gainesville, and then I spent some time. Anybody go to the University of Central Florida? Students there? Cool. Are you there right now? Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I was there on Thursday night. I got a call from the director of the BCM, and he said, you know, it just so happens I have had an emergency in the family, and I've got to go, but I heard that you're going to be in town, so why don't you come and play and speak? I was just like, all right, well, that's the Lord opening doors. He kind of does that all the time, everywhere. And so I was there, and I did this at the University of Florida as well. A group of students kind of got around me, and they said, we're just going to ask you questions and just pick your brain on things. And I'm thinking, I don't really know that much, but I'll just kind of share with you my stories and experiences. And they said, well, what's something that you are concerned about that you would want to tell us? And I said, well, probably it would be this. I think that because your generation is under such assault and such attack, I'm praying for courage for your generation. I'm praying that you guys would not let people hijack Jesus, throw him in the trunk, and just drive him off the reservation. Because the God of the Bible, he really needs no defense. I'm driving down the street at the University of Florida, and I see him, big, bold print, the gay and lesbian, transgender, LGBTQRDSDZ, Pride celebration on October 22nd. And I'm thinking it's October 11th, for crying out loud. They're going to leave that thing up there for 10 days. So the next day I went to a prayer meeting of the campus ministers. And so we're kind of sitting there and we're kind of praying. It's kind of awkward getting to know you kind of thing. And I'm like, so when is anybody going to put up a sign that says, Jesus calls you to repent, trust him today? Celebration 3 weeks from now. Hopefully you can clap for me. It's not on anybody's payroll. I can say that, and then they can roll their eyes and they can say, well, this guy's never coming back. But that's fine. I just needed to say it. But you would have been surprised to see how many people are fumbling over themselves. Oh, yeah, brother, we can't put that there. We can't say that. We can't do that. People get offended. You know, we can't. That's not the way we want to. And I'm thinking, well, you go ahead and have your little campus ministries, and we'll figure out what we can do for these students at some other point. I just think that there's a lot of people that are here, and there's a lot of people in America who have read missionary biographies. They've taught those things. They've read the history. They know the historical moment that we're in. Let's go and make some. Let's make some history right now. Let's not wait for somebody else to do something for us. And so I was telling the wonderful family that I was staying with, Gerald and Peggy, I was staying with them last night. I said, you know what? I travel a lot, and my kids are young, and the fear that I have as a father is that when my kids get a little bit older and the heat gets turned up on your kids, because if you have, I've done student ministry for many years, it doesn't matter, homeschool, whatever the environment is, the heat is going to get turned up on your kids. When the heat gets turned up on my kids, I don't want my kids to look at me and say, Daddy, you see that our culture is falling apart. There's people who are godless. There's people who don't give a rip about the Bible. There's people who don't give a rip about Jesus, and morality has gone down the tank. Daddy, why didn't you do something about that? I never want my kids to say that to me. And so if we have to FaceTime and communicate with one another for a stretch of time just so they can know, I tell them, hey, I'm going to the University of Florida today, and this is what I'm talking to them about. This will be our family devotion today. Or I'm going to be at the University of Central Florida, and this is what I'm talking about today. And this will be our family devotion today. And so that's kind of what I do. And so you guys can pray for me, because I got a big mouth, and don't know how to shut it. So one of the songs that is done extremely well, and I'm excited about the prospect of this song. I wrote this with a songwriter in Nashville by the name of Jeff Pearson, longtime songwriter, successful songwriter. We met, and he said, well, what song do you want to write? I said, well, I heard this interesting phrase that I think needs to be put into a song, and it's by Martin Luther King, and it says, the most segregated time in our country is Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. I said, yep. And as soon as I said that, he said, well, let's write that song. And so I wrote the song, and I went and played it at an open mic in Nashville, and I had one guy came up to me and he said, yeah, Nashville didn't need that song, and you don't need to play that song, and we don't need to hear that song, and we don't like that song. And I said, who are you again? And he said, well, I know that we don't need to hear that song because I used to be the pastor of a church, and I pastored for 15 years, and you know, you just don't need to be singing that kind of song. And I said, you used to pastor who? And he kind of looked at me, and he knew that we weren't going to connect on that. And I had another longtime songwriter, I don't even know if this guy's a Christian, he came up to me and he said, finally somebody had the guts to write the song that everybody knows, but nobody says anything about. I said, well, I'm not on anybody's payroll. Nobody knows who I am. Nobody cares. So the Lord has sent me to do this, and I'm going to do it. I was in Atlanta, and I don't recommend that you live this way, but if that's what the Lord calls you to, then it's cool. I usually try to stay Airbnb with somebody that obviously probably is not a Christian, so that the obvious awkward moment comes up and they say, so you're bringing all these guitars into our house. What do you do? And I say, it's a funny question that you should ask. I actually go around and sing to the Lord. And so I ended up with these guys in Atlanta. One's name was Muhammad, and the other's name was something with an F. But anyway, you kind of know where this conversation is going. They were about Muslims, and we just had a wonderful conversation. I called my wife a little bit later, and I said, well, if I die, here's the address. Where I was. Because once I started asking them questions about Sharia law and jihad and all these different things, they had no answer for that. It got a little awkward. But I said, you know, you guys have come to America. One guy was from India, another guy was from Saudi Arabia, and we're sitting there watching Arabian TV, which is interesting. I'm thinking I'm about to die. It's good. Lord, you got this one. And so I said, have you guys ever met or been to a church in America since you guys have come here? And these guys looked at me and they were like, why in the world would we go to church in America? And they use an expletive. I'm not going to do that. This is Sunday morning gathering. They said the churches in America are so messed up. They got black churches here. They got white churches. The churches in America don't even get along with one another. And I thought, oh, that's a burn. I'm going to have to recalibrate this conversation because they're actually right on some regards. And so I commend you guys for bringing me in. If you get letters tomorrow, tell them the Lord said it's okay. All right? The song's called Black and White.
Sunday morning, 11 o'clock. Black churches, white churches right next door. They're on the same block, both with hands raised high to Jesus. Still a million miles between us. Unseen walls where bridges need to be built. A song may not change your mind, but Jesus won't let me keep it inside. Black people, remember the God who gave you and me. Not some people, all people, remember God who made you and me. Maybe it all begins by not focusing on ourselves, fixing our that God made you equal and not some people, all people. Remember that God, remember that God who made you equal. You me equal.
One more song. I get a chance to go to a lot of different places, and I really do believe maybe one of the reasons why the Lord called me out of pastoral ministry to do this strange incarnation of pastoral ministry is because our culture is so eaten up with entertainment. And that's really the lingua franca that we live in today. People, if I were to show up at somebody's place and say, hey, I want to show you this verse of scripture in the Bible, they would say, well, thanks, we've heard that before. We don't care about that. But for some reason, when I show up with a guitar and I play the guitar and I say, these are some lyrics that I crafted, people have a tendency to listen to those things. And so I really do feel like the arts, something that sometimes the church has overlooked, is actually where the Lord is blessing and raising up people to fight the cultural battles. And so we have a great deal of free speech to be able to say some things in music that you're not allowed to say just from pulpit or just from a lectern. And that's also the case, I think, with comedy. And that's another sort of weird thing where we have free speech and everybody laughs and everybody knows it, and that's not politically correct, but we just kind of all kind of follow that vein because of entertainment. A lot of places that I go, the obvious problems that we have and that we recognize in the Christian community is problem. Sex is not the problem, the lust is the problem. It's the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. We see that principally in the category of just pornography and how rampant that is and what a wildfire that has become, even in churches. And when I wrote this song, that was just sort of a problem and an epidemic that I knew about. Shortly after I wrote the song, I had a friend that called me and said that they were at a well-known church, asked me if I'd seen them on the news because one of their pastors had been picked up for solicitation of prostitution. And so he immediately said, if that could happen to that person, then that could happen to me. And I want to make sure covenant eyes. And so we banded together to do that. And then, if that wasn't enough, a few weeks later, I was out of town, because that happens a lot for me. But our church called a special meeting for the church. And the pastor came forward and said that he had a problem in this area and removed himself from staff. So, no, you can't text me right now. I'm doing service. Sorry. Stop it. And so, a lot of times when I go places, we recognize what the problem is, but I think pastors, for some whatever reason, are a little hesitant to speak directly to that issue, and that's fine. As an artist, I get a chance to sing about that. And I just want to say this morning, if you have found yourself in the midst of sexual sin of any kind, then the lyrics of this song, which should be familiar to you, will help point the direction to true north, and that is, what can wash away my sin? What can make me whole again? What's the answer? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. And so I hope this song ministers to you, and if that's something that the Lord speaks to you about, I pray that through this song, through the message today, through our time together, the Lord will begin dealing in that area, not to give you shame, but to give you hope in the person of Jesus Christ. The song is called Precious Blood.
Pretty Jenny was a popular girl, the kind of girl that gets looks from the world. But this Jenny never told anybody what was really going on inside her body. Too ashamed of the choices she made. She wondered what can wash away my sin, what can make me whole again, what can turn my life around, what can make me new. Yeah. Mr. Michael was a real cool guy, kind of man everyone that's inside. But this Michael never told anybody of the lust of his eyes was even dead alive. So ashamed of the choices he made, and he wondered what can wash away my sin, what can make me whole again, what can turn my life around, what can make me new. See, but when we had tears in our eyes, in those times when we cried, there is one who paid for our sin, gave his life for his friend. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus. His name is Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. 'Cause only can wash away our sin. He can make us whole again. He can turn our lives around. He can make us new. 'Cause only can wash away our sin. He can make us whole again. He can turn our lives around. He can make us new. His name is Jesus. You know what? His name is Jesus.